My name is Ralph Myers, and my public informative speech today is on the evolution and development of the snare drum and drum set, formerly known as the trap set or drum kit or drum trap set. The name trap set is because of it was used in what was known as the orchestra pit or trap of an orchestra stage theater where the orchestra played for shows, theaters, etc. Um, the history of the snare drum comes from way back from the first drum skins that had the bound thongs would vibrate as they were played. It's also had on the back of the drumstick was a whip that they would turn around and hit the bottom head with, which actually originally came from a horse whip previously that the drum master would hit the bottom of the drums as they were playing. This simulated was used later to simulate twisted strands of leather across the bottom of the snare drum, which was the original snare drum. The drums were used in marching for war originally, and the snare drum would be the first row of drummers or in the middle of the row of drummers that came out in front of the soldiers playing music. Another form were the tenor drums or tom-toms and timpani, and also bass drum, which were carried on horses on the side that were played also. This evolved into the marching drum corps and marching bands, which are used in sports events, parades of social events, etc. Um, I'll demonstrate from the first African ancient that had shells hanging around them. This also is one of the predecessors of the snare drum. Here's an example here. This is an ancient with the shells around it. And these shells, as it's played, can be moved around. Sometimes they vibrate against the drum. Not a lot on this one because they're short. But this is an ancient African drum. And you hear the shells a little bit. This was one of the forebears of the snare drum. The sticks, which were used formerly with a whip on the left side, on the bottom of the left side, was held in what is known as the traditional grip, like this, in between the thumb and first finger and then the middle two fingers. And as they played, they could turn it around and whip the bottom of the drum, which is kind of hard to do on this one, but you can see how that works. It's easy to flip around. And this was one of the first uses of what was originally a horse whip used to whip the bottom of the drums as they played. By the way, I'd like to ask everyone if anyone has played a musical instrument or does, in particular, the drums. If so, they can think about this while I'm doing this speech. I'd like to show you a couple things before we get into the talk of the trap set. There were also other drums that had thongs on them, like the Native American drum. And with the sticks, it doesn't sound as good, but you can hear the different pitches on this. You can kind of hear the thongs vibrate a bit there. That also contributed to the snare drum development. Then there's other smaller ones with different pitches. This is a tutsulo or hummingbird drum. These are Taos drums, Taos Native American. And then here's a drum that the thongs will vibrate on. I made this myself out of a blue agave stem that I found in the desert by San Diego, by the border of Mexico when I lived there. And you can't hear it a lot, but when I'm playing this, sometimes these thongs will vibrate. So anyway, these are the evolution of the snare drum. Now, next was the evolution, since we've talked about the snare drum, of the drum kit or drum set, which came out of Africa, Polynesia, and or the Orient. That was known as the drum organ. Thank you.